Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sneha and today I'm creating 3 looks using the Viseart Theory palette in the shade Siren. So if you'd like to see how to create 3 different looks using these 6 eyeshadows, then please continue watching. Also, if you do have the Viseart Petite Pro 2 palette and would like to see 3 looks using that, I have done a video and I'm going to link it right here. So the Viseart Theory palette in the shade Siren comes with 3 mattes and 3 shimmery eyeshadows. And as you can see, the first matte eyeshadow is quite light for my skin tone, so I can only use that as a brow bone highlighter or to like blend out eyeshadows, but I can't use it as a shade in itself. I mean, I could use it as a lid eyeshadow, but it looks quite white and pastel on my skin tone. So that's something a lighter skin tone person will get a lot more use from. Other than that, all the other shades are quite wonderful and I do get to use them in various looks. So let's begin with look number 1. For all 3 looks, I'm going to prime my eyelids with the NARS eye primer. For this look, I'm first starting with the darkest matte shade from this palette, which is like a terracotta orange. So I'm just going to take it on a blending brush and apply it to my crease area, and then gradually building up the color in the socket and blending it towards the brow bone. And then to blend out the edges, I'm using the second matte shade. So that will go up to the brow bone. Next, I'm just deepening up the crease with the third matte shade, the first shade that we used, and just using a smaller Wayne Goss brush to really deepen it up in the crease area. And then using a flat brush to pick up the darkest shimmery shade from the palette, I'm going to pack this all over my eyelid. For my bottom lash line, I'm just going into the darkest matte shade and using the small Wayne Goss brush we used for the crease, just applying it along my lower lashes. And I'm also going to make sure that the eyeshadows are connected at the outer corner of the eye. And then I tried to use the lightest shade from the palette just lightly on my brow bone, but then it got too intense, looked quite pastel and didn't really go with this warm look, at least on my skin tone. So then I just ended up blending this out with the previous eyeshadows. So again, going back in with that blending brush and just kind of dulling that shade, if that makes sense, and making it more warm with the other tones that we've already used. Then I'm going into the lightest shimmery shade from this palette and just using that as my inner corner highlight. And then I'm using the Urban Decay eye pencil in the shade Whiskey, which is like a brown eye pencil. I'm just going to run this on my bottom waterline. And then quickly just curling my lashes and applying some mascara. Today I'm going to use the Legendary Lashes Volume 2 by Charlotte Tilbury for my top lashes. And then my usual MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash Mascara for my bottom lashes. With this eye look, I paired it with this Laura Mercier lipstick. All the shades and formula will be listed in the description box below. And then for blush, I used a Black Radiance blush. This is the shade Toasted Almond. I'm just going to apply that onto my cheeks. It just gives a hint of that apricot tones to the cheeks. And this is the finished look. Again, you could pair this eye look with eyeliner. You could also tone down the lip, so you can go for a nude lip option instead of this darker lip. But yeah, make it your own. But this is look number 1. For this look, I'm going to start off with the middle matte shade. So I'm just going to run that along the crease of my eye. Next, I'm using the darkest matte shade from this palette and I'm going to apply it to the inner corner of my eye, the outer corner of my eye, and also into my crease. So creating basically the outline for a halo eye look. And I'm going to repeat the same steps on my lower lash line. Once that's blended nicely, I'm going into the second shimmery shade, which is this gold one. And I'm going to pack that on the center of the eye just with my fingertip, and then also blending the edges towards the terracotta shade that we already have on the eyelid. And then I'm also going to layer a little bit extra gold just for that spotlight effect. I'm going to apply that gold shade to the center of the bottom lash line. And then later I just added the third shimmery shade again on the outer and the inner corner just along the top lash line, just to add a little bit depth because the terracotta shade is not deep enough. So that's just optional if you would like to add that. And then I just blended the edges between the eyeshadows. Next I'm using a black kohl pencil to run along my top and bottom waterline. This particular one is the Kajal Magique by L'Oreal. And then using the MAC Extended Play Giga Black Mascara for the bottom lashes, and then the Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir Mascara for my top lashes. For blush, I'm going to use the NARS blush in the shade Orgasm, which is like a shimmery peach. And then for my lipstick, it is the almost used up MAC lipstick in the shade Taupe. And that is look number 2 complete. So I'm beginning with the lightest matte shade, and I'm going to apply this just in my crease area, and then applying the second matte shade to the crease or the socket of my eye. Once that's blended out, I'm going to use the darkest matte from the palette. I'm going to apply this to the outer corner of my eye and also applying it to my lower lash line. So again, keeping the crease quite soft and blending all the edges away. Then with a flat brush, I'm picking up the lightest shimmery shade, the first one, which is like rose gold shade. So applying it 3/4 of the way and meeting with the previous matte eyeshadow that we have on the outer corner. I'm also running the same shade on the inner corner of my eye, connecting it to the lower lash line. And then with a small blending brush, just blending away the edges between the shimmery shade and the matte in the outer corner. And then to complete this look, I'm again going in with the brown eyeliner by Urban Decay called Whiskey. I'm going to apply this to my lower waterline and applying the same mascara as before to my top and bottom lashes. For the lip, I had already put on MAC lipstick in the shade World, so that's a nude option for you guys. And if you want to kind of make it a little bit more peachy, just go over it with the lipstick we used in the first look, so that Laura Mercier lipstick. I just added a little bit of that on top, and that's the second lip option. For blush, I'm using the NARS blush in the shade Gilda, and that is look number 3. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button and also consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me.